Guys, how are you? Yes, so many days have spent and I'm not in front of you. So today again I'm here. So very warm welcome and very warm good evening to all of you. Yes, here I'm Debastrita Basu and I'm going to talk about a particular topic today. Yes, today's topic is going to happen a very airy, going to create a very airy environment, spooky environment, as well as a very horror horror feelings. Yes, yes. Today I am speaking about a man who is noted for his poetry, for his horror works. Not only he's a man of poetry, but also he's a man of great short story writer, as well as a remarkable man of novelist. Yes, he's a literary man. He's a great literary man. Yes, I'm speaking about Walter John de la Mare. Who is Walter John de la Mare? Walter John de la Mare is a British poet of 19th century England. He is noted for his horror poetry, specifically for children poetries, for children works. Yes, today I'm going to summarize about a poem which is very recognizable to all of you. Yes, the poem's name is The Listeners. And he's not only, I have already told you that he's not only a man of poetry, but also he has written many other works, and his other recognizable works are Seaton's Aunt, as well as and All Hallows. Yes. So today, now I'm going to summarize you stanza by stanza the listeners, about the listeners, the poem Listeners. The Listeners. Yes. By Walter John de la Mare. It is one of the best poem according to me. Is there anybody there? Said the traveler. Okay. Now the poet here is creating an environment of stillness and eerie silence. Okay. It is the poet is talking about a story, is narrating a story. Okay, so this is one kind of narration he is telling us. Is there anybody there? A traveler is going through the forest. And one of the house is there amidst the forest, and in front of the door he has come over there, and he is knocking at the door. And he is asking, is there anybody there? Said the traveler, knocking on the moonlit door. The moonlit door means the evening sets in, and he is knocking on the moonlit door, the door which is already shines, which has already shone for the rays of the moon. And his horse in the silence champ the grasses of the forest ferny floor. And he has come here for with his horse, and his horse is champing the grasses on the grassy ferny floor. Ferny floor means grassy floor. Means the forest. Only the champing of the grass can be listened in that absolutely silent area. And a bird flew out of the turret above the traveller's head, and he smote upon the door again a second time. That means a total environment of airy has already been created by the poet. A bird has flown up over the head, means an eerie environment, a spooky environment above the traveler's head. And he smote upon the door again a second time, and he knocked upon the door upon the second time, calling them, calling the listeners, calling the silent listeners. Is there anybody there? He said again. But no one descended to the door. No one come down to the door. No one come down to the door. Okay. Okay. No head from the leaf-fringed seal leaned over and looked into his grey eyes. Leaf-fringed seals. What is seal? Seal is there is a window frame. There is a two-story building, and from the leaf-fringed seal means the windows on the upper story. The base is covered up with the leaves and has been not even yet been cut off. Okay. So no creature has ever leaned yet and looked into his perplexed eyes, into his perplexed eyes. Perplexed eyes means he is yet thinking that why they had not yet been coming to me and descended up to me to respond my calling. Okay. So his eyes has been described here as grey. Grey means perplexed eyes. Okay. So the world of the poet has been created is fully of mystery. The world is full of mystery. Supernatural world, where he stood perplexed and still, where he stood confused and still. But only a host of phantom listeners that dwelt in the lone house then stood listening in the quiet of the moonlight to that voice of the world of men, from the world of men. That means the listeners, the silent listeners, the supernatural beings of the house then they could listen. They can or they could listen to the voice of the man from the voice of the voice of the traveler knocking at the door, but they couldn't answer. They could the listener could feel them, but could feel their eeriness, but he was not sure that they has already been doomed off. Stood thronging the faint moonbeams on the dark stair. The supernatural beings stood thronging on the stair that goes up to the empty hall. Okay, that goes down to the empty hall. On the moonlit beams, they are listening to the world of men. That goes down to the empty hall, hearkening in an ear stirred and shaken by the lonely traveler's call. They are listening. The vibrations that has been created by the traveler has already been considered of, has already been listened of by the lonely traveler's call. The traveler is calling, and his vibrations, his vibrations of call has been already been listened of, heard of by the lonely listeners, by the silent listeners, but they could not speak of, but they could not respond of. And he felt in his heart their strangeness, their stillness answering his cry. He can feel their strangeness, their mystery. Something is somewhere something is there, but he could not sure. He was not sure of that they died off or they were not there. Their absence, they could not actually. He could not feel. The traveler could not feel. Their stillness answering his cry. What he got, what the travelers got in behalf of his response, their stillness, their silentness. They are silent, complete silent, and the environment is totally creepy. For he suddenly smote on the door even louder and lifted his head. And again, the third time, finally, he again knocked on the door, on the moonlit door. He again smote on the door, the third time, even louder, and said louder that he lifted his head towards the window. And tell them I came. And no one answered. That I kept my word, he said. He had promised someone in that house before he arrived there, that I would come definitely. That's why he came here, and he spoke that tell them that I have kept my promise, I have kept my word, I have come here. But no one answered. Okay. Never the least stir made the listeners, though every word he spake. There was no vibrations, no movements of the listeners can be seen over there. Okay, not even actually there was a pin drop silence. There was not any movements, not any response, complete silence was there. Fell echoing through the shadows of the still house from the one man left awake. That means only the echo was from the one man left awake, means the world of man, means the traveler, from the traveler's side. Only the echo has been made from the traveler's side, not from the listener's side. Yes, they heard his foot upon the stirrup and the sound of iron on stone. Yes, they heard. Who heard? The listeners heard. Yes, the listeners heard his foot. Whose foot? Traveler's foot. When he was confused, when the travelers was confused, when he was totally fed up with not getting the response from the residents of the house, so he thought that he had to go now. So he put up his foot on the stirrup of the horse, and the sound of iron on stone. They heard the sound of the iron on stone, the hoofs of the horse movement, and how the silence surged softly backward when the plunging hoofs were gone. Again, after the plunging hoofs were gone, after the plunging hoofs of the horse have gone, again the silence surged backwards. Okay, so this is the poet has created a re-environment. This is the link. He has brought a link between the world of man and the world of supernatural. Sometimes we also come across with the supernatural beings, and we can only feel about that. We can never see them, we can never touch them, but only can feel. So here also the traveler can feel their eeriness, their strangeness in his heart, but still their mystery in his heart, but still he was not sure that what happened to them, what happened about the residents of the house. So here also the poet uses some of the literary devices that the poets use in their poetry. Here the literary devices has been used are of several kinds. For example, enjambment has been used as and anaphora, as well as imagery. Yes. What is enjambment? enjambment is a literary device. A line has been is cut off. A line is cut off before its normal ending. It is called the enjambment. It is used. It is used so that the curiosity has been is to be produced within the minds of the readers. So they quickly go over to the next line. Okay. And anaphora is also being used here. Anaphora is a literary device which means the repetition of word or the repetition of phrase before multiple lines. It is used for the emphasis. It is used for the creating of emphasis. Okay. And imageries. Previously we know imageries means the pictures which can be seen in the mind's eye of men, by men. Okay. But now imageries means a lot nowadays. Imageries not only can be seen in the mind's eye, not only the pictures can be seen in the mind's eye, but also it's a sense of feeling. It's a sense of feelings means you can smell, you can hear. Okay. So imageries are also here, has been used throughout the poem in order to create the music, in order to create the eerie environment, in order to create the creepy and horror structure of the poem. Okay. So this is over now. I don't know how have you come over through. I know that you get it. I hope so. So thank you for your participation. And okay, that's all for the day. Again I will come with a new poet and as well as his new amazing poetry. I'm not sure, but I'm not promising you, but I also come over. I will also come with some stories also, some summaries of stories, some stories. I want to summarize some stories also. I will come with some of the stories. Okay, children's stories as well as some important stories. Okay, significant stories. Thank you. That's all for the day. If you like my video, please share and subscribe. All for the day. Thank you. Bye.